The last thing I hear before dying is my wife's voice, and she's not crying, she's negotiating. Li Wei, don't come looking for me if you die. I'm doing this for your own good, for my own good. I'm lying in a hospital bed in my own villa, a vegetable with a breathing tube, and the woman I married is reaching for my life support with the tone of someone canceling a gym membership. I can hear everything. I can't move anything. A car accident took my body and left my ears working, which I'm now realizing is the cruelest possible combination. Then the door opens and a man walks in, and my heart does the thing hearts do right before they learn something they can't unlearn. I know that voice. Shen Hao, my college buddy, my best friend. Mei Ling, what are you still hesitating about? His parents are dead. Once he dies, you're the sole heir. And then he laughs and says the sentence that plays on loop in my skull forever after. I've waited 5 whole years for this day. 5 years. She was never mine. He set us up from day one, literally delivered his own girlfriend to my bed like a long-term investment, married her into my fortune, and when the payout got slow, they arranged the car accident. I find all of this out lying paralyzed on my deathbed, listening to them flirt over my body. He even complains that I survived the crash. Who knew this guy was so tough? Sorry for the inconvenience, buddy. Then he pulls the oxygen mask off my face. And here's where I have to describe what suffocating feels like from the inside, because I lived it. The chest goes first. Then the panic, which is useless, because panic needs muscles and I don't have any. Then the edges of everything start going dark and syrupy, and my last coherent thought is not peace, not acceptance, it's rage. Pure, industrial-grade rage, which is exactly when a portal the size of a continent opens over the entire planet. Every human on Earth sees it at once. Even me, dying in a locked body, the thing beams itself straight into my brain. A voice follows it. Congratulations to Blue Star for being selected for the 10,000 Realms game. National transfer begins in 30 seconds. All of humanity. Everyone starts from scratch. In the next room, my 2 murderers are having the worst moment of their lives. I don't know how to play games, my wife wails. Chen Hao is actually cursing. 5 years of scheming, he's about to be a billionaire, and the universe just announced a server wipe. The universe said, lol, no second chances, buddy. For once, it wasn't talking to me. Me? I'm hanging on to those 30 seconds with my teeth. One rule surfaces in the info dump the portal shoved into everyone's head. As long as you have 1 breath left, you can enter. 1 breath is exactly what I have. Chen Hao even scoffs about it out loud. With his body, even if he gets in, he'll be a cripple. Thanks for the confidence, pal. Every second of those 30, I replay the 5 years of my marriage like a slideshow in a burning house. Then a billion beams of light fall from the sky and humanity disappears. I wake up on the floor of a palace made of starlight, gasping like a man pulled out of the ocean. Breathing. Actually breathing. I lie there just inhaling for a while, which sounds boring, but I promise you, after asphyxiation, it's the best entertainment in the universe. A system voice scans me and starts building my character. Talent awakening first, every player gets 1, ranked F up to SSS, and the odds of an S rank are 1 in 10 million. The wheel spins and spits out. S rank exclusive talent, Ascension, 1 in 10 million. I'd say my luck is turning, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Ascension's text is short. Consume lifespan to permanently upgrade any skill by 1 rank. First 3 uses free. Then the game shows me my stats and takes back every nice thing it just did. Strength, 1. Constitution, 1. Agility, 1. My body's data got scanned off a hospital bed, and it shows. But the real headline is at the bottom. Maximum life permanently locked at 1 point. 1 HP, forever. Reason, unknown. And underneath that, lifespan, 1 year. So let's recap my situation. I have 1 drop of health, 1 year to live, a talent that eats lifespan as fuel, and the game auto-assigns me the only class my potato stats qualify for, Necromancer. My hospital gown dissolves into a ratty linen robe that smells like death. Very on brand. 1 year, 1 HP. You know what that makes me? A man with absolutely nothing to lose. Ascension, 3 times. On itself, the system actually stalls. When it comes back, the price for triple casting my talent on my own talent shows up as 3 question marks. The game literally doesn't know what that costs, because nobody's ever been suicidal enough to try. But the 3 free uses cover it. Confirm. 3 beams of light punch through the palace roof, and when the glow dies down, my S-rank talent is gone, and in its place sits something called Calamity, the game's only forbidden grade talent. Tier 1. Upgrade anything. 1 rank, free, forever. Tier 2. Upgrade anything 2 ranks for resources. Tier 3. Upgrade anything 3 ranks for lifespan, and slap a Cataclysm trait on it, a bonus property that breaks whatever rule the item was politely following before. Read that again. Not any skill. Anything. Naturally, my first move is to try to Calamity the Calamity. The system slams the door. Restriction patched. Nice try. But as an apology for the nerf, it leaves me 1 free use of the top tier, so I point it at my class. The price tag for doing it the honest way flashes by. 100,000 years of lifespan. I use the freebie. Necromancer becomes Lord of Death. Exclusive hidden class. Population, me. Triple stat growth, triple attribute points, 2 new skills, a locked book called the Book of the Dead, and a class-wide Cataclysm trait whose first line reads, all of your skill effects are doubled. The countdown to game start hits 0 while I'm still grinning at my screen like an idiot. 10, 9. Somewhere out there, in some other beginner village, my wife and her boyfriend just spawned with their fresh new lives. 10,000 Realms has one more rule I want you to remember because everything that follows runs on it. Outside the beginner villages, death costs you a level and 10% of your lifespan, minimum 10 years. Die enough times, you don't respawn. People can die here, permanently. I'm counting on it. The village they drop me in is number 9527, and it's chaos in stereo. Thousands of confused humans, half of them crying about their mortgages, half of them screaming about finally living the isekai dream. One guy is trying to negotiate with an NPC like it's a vending machine. The NPCs, by the way, are real people from this world, and they look at us the way you'd look at 8 billion pigeons that suddenly learn to talk. I don't socialize. 1 year on the clock. I walk straight for the village gate, which takes 10 full minutes because my agility is 1 and I move like continental drift. At the gate, I cast my first spell, Summon Little Skeleton. A gray vortex opens and 2 skeletons climb out instead of 1, the class trait doubling everything, including the summon count, including deleting the cooldown entirely. They're crackly, chipped, holding rusty swords, and their stat panel makes me laugh out loud. Every number quadruple what it should be. Then I cast Lifelink, and instead of sharing HP with 1 skeleton, I'm sharing with both, at double value. My health readout now says 1/1, shared pool, several thousand and climbing, 1 drop of blood, a health bar longer than my old company's revenue chart. Is this even a legal class? Meanwhile, the village-wide entertainment is the chickens. The starter monsters outside the gate are literal free-range chickens, level 1, with a bestiary note that reads, "Surely no one can actually lose to a chickens." Reader, they are losing to the chickens. Every 10 seconds, another player pops into white light and respawns, murdered by poultry. A chicken would kill me in one peck too, if my skeletons ever let one within a postal code of me. The tank players fare worst. The level 2 zone is red-eyed rabbits whose signature move is a headbutt aimed exclusively at the groin, and I watch 2 armored men in a row get folded like lawn chairs by bunnies. 100% pain feedback, the game says. The rabbits know. A warrior named Shadow Scout sizes up my oversized skeletons and offers a team-up. I also have A-rank talent. Buddy, if you say so. I decline politely and walk past the chicken massacre into rabbit territory, where my 2 skeletons start deleting wildlife while I stroll behind them like a retiree feeding ducks. The chat behind me is already whispering, "Why are that guy's skeletons so much bigger than mine?" And I make a note to do my more interesting upgrades out of sight. One more detail about starter conditions, because the game deserves to be shamed for it. Mage classes spawn with a robe, a staff, and nothing else. No underwear. There is a breeze, and I am aware of it, personally, the entire first day. The village probably sells some. I never go back to check. Freedom of spirit, I tell myself, and keep walking. And then I start doing the thing that will define my entire career. I upgrade everything I own, for free, 1 rank at a time. Copper coins? Upgrade. They turn into ancient bronze coins, a discontinued currency worth slightly more to collectors and worthless to everyone else. Great start. The beginner backpack? 20 slots become 50. The trash staff and robe? Upgraded. My summon skill? Upgraded. The skeletons come out bigger, armored, 20 at a time now. Lifelink? It ascends into life sharing, a passive that pools every summon's HP into mine. Summon amplification? Becomes death summons and my summon cap explodes. The locked book of the dead? Becomes the death scripture, tattoos itself onto the back of my left hand, and quietly frees up an equipment slot while keeping all its stats, which is the kind of petty efficiency I deeply respect. An hour in, I'm walking through the level 3 zone with 20 skeletons mowing a lawn of lynxes, my experience bar filling itself while I do literally nothing. Somewhere behind me, grown men are still losing fistfights to chickens. The game gave everyone the same starting line and me a motorcycle. My first dungeon sits in a valley past the level 5 zone, the Mist Forest. Every beginner village has one. Difficulty options go normal, hard, nightmare, hell. I have 1 year to live and a cheat code for a soul. Hell. The Mist Forest on hell mode is fog so thick you could bottle it, dead silence, and elite monsters 3 levels above the dungeon rating. A 5-man dungeon, tuned so that a full party of hotshots wipes on the first pull. I walk in alone with 40 soul fires bobbing behind me and send my skeletons out in 4 squads like I'm managing delivery routes. The first boss is a tree python the size of a hill, a silver grade monster with 88,000 HP and a description that says it never spits out bones when it eats people. It gets exactly 1 clever moment. It figures out the skeletons are puppets, ignores them, and spits a glob of venom straight at the fragile human in the back. I can actually see the smugness in its snake eyes. Foolish human, 1 poison tick and the venom hits me, 900 damage. My shared health bar, currently sitting at 300,000, does not visibly move. The snake and I stare at each other for a second, and I swear something in its reptile brain files for early retirement. Then 20 skeletons beat it to death before its earthquake attack finishes animating. The system loses its mind. First solo boss kill in the village. First solo silver boss. Rewards rain down. Gold and 6 little white stones that stop me cold. Life soul stones. 30 days of lifespan each. The thing I need more than anything in this world, handed out as a first kill bonus. I upgrade every stone on the spot. 30 days each becomes 120, and just like that, my death clock has slack in it for the first time. Then the announcement plays, village-wide, 3 times. Congratulations to Wang Feng, that's me. I named myself after my old gaming handle, and no, I did not think that choice through. For soloing a silver boss, everyone please learn from him. The village chat detonates. My friend requests jump from 0 to 999 plus in about a minute, and 2 players in particular sit up and pay attention. Player 1. Guild leader type. Name reads like Dominus, S-rank talent that buffs everyone in his guild. Unemployed back on Earth, currently assembling a 3,000-man guild and a messiah complex at roughly the same speed. He pins great importance on people giving him face. I do not answer his friend request. He writes my name in his little grudge book, and he keeps adding pages for the rest of this story. Player 2 is more interesting. A fat middle-aged man who drops a full gold coin, a fortune right now, just to pin one message in chat. Brother Wang Feng, let's talk. His handle translates to richest under heaven, but that's a mouthful, so I'll call him what he is, gold hoarder. When I finally answer, he tries to sign me to his team with a 200 gold bonus, and when I ask what his deal is, he casually shows me his talent card. SSS rank, God of Wealth. Shake a money tree once a day for random gold and rare treasure. Odds of an SSS talent, 1 in a billion. There are maybe 20 of these people on the entire planet, and one of them is a chubby uncle in my starter village whose superpower is being rich. I turn down the team. I offer him something better. I have loot, he has money. Let's be friends. His smile at that moment is the smile of a man who thinks he's recruiting me slowly. Adorable. Deeper in the dungeon, I killed the second boss without ever seeing it. My skeletons find it, kill it, and loot it while I'm 3 rooms back reading chat. The system congratulates me on the solo like I did something. Ah, I say to an empty misty corridor, how lonely it is at the top, and I'm only half joking, which is the sad part. Meanwhile, outside, a race I didn't know I'd entered is being run. Dominus has taken his shiny new guild boss hunting for announcements of his own. He solos an iron grade boss in front of 100 flattering members and basks. The guild leader must be the #1 player in the village. That Wang Feng just got lucky. Willow, hunting for Gold Hoarder's team, grinds out a bronze boss solo and gets her own fanfare. For about 90 seconds, Village 9527 has 3 celebrities. Then my announcement drops. First solo of a gold grade boss, and lands on their parade like a piano. The Chronicle records that Dominus's guildmates, who had just promised to find him a gold boss right away, went silent as a group because their leader can barely handle bronze. Someone tries to salvage it. We were just joking around. You actually did it? Dominus's ego deflates with a sound you can almost hear through the chat window, and he pivots on the spot to his true talent, politics. Brothers, our new goal is the dungeon first clear. Spoiler, while his elite squad is walking to the portal, I clear hell difficulty. The announcement plays as he's mid-victory speech about hard mode. He enters the dungeon without saying another word, at speed, like a man fleeing his own biography. Anyway, the dungeon's final boss is a goblin king named Grak, gold grade, berserk, and, surprise, the exit portal locks the moment I aggro him. Kill him in 2 minutes and something hidden unlocks. My skeletons make the 2-minute mark with room to spare, but the interesting part is what Grak screams while dying. Necromancer! I will never again be your slave! The mist coalesces into a flashback. His entire goblin tribe was once livestock for ancient necromancers, experimented on, turned into the very first little skeletons. My starter summon. A goblin in a past life. I'd feel bad, but he's currently trying to eat me. He does land exactly 1 hit of the entire dungeon, a leap attack that clips my shoulder for 2,000 damage my health pool doesn't notice, but the pain system delivers at full retail price. I rub my shoulder and reclassify him from loot to personal. Then Grak's corpse explodes and reassembles as the Skeleton King, dark gold grade, 1.8 million HP, and a system message that makes my stomach drop through the floor. Hidden storyline activated. Village death protection disabled. If I die here, I lose 10 years. I have one. For the first time since the hospital bed, I'm in an actual fight for my life. His attack one-shot 6 of my skeletons per swing. My math says I run out of mana before he runs out of health. So I do the thing I've been saving. I eat 15 of my hoarded soul stones, 6 years of life gone into my veins, and burn 5 of those years on a tier 3 calamity for my summon skill. The gamble pays out in a way that resets my understanding of my own talent. The skill only climbs to C rank, but the Cataclysm trait attached to it reads, Warrior Skeletons, 500% health, double attack. The next 2 skeletons that walk out of the vortex have 70,000 HP each and hit like municipal buses. Grak, a dark gold boss, blocks 1 exchange and gets knocked backwards. The look in his soulfire eyes is the look of every mid-boss who realizes he's in someone else's power fantasy. He dies snarling, I am not reconciled, which, fair. The rewards bury me. 40 soul stones for the first dark gold solo, 20 more for the first hell clear, and then the announcement scales up, not the village this time. The entire Blue Star region. Every player from every country hears my name 10 times in a row. First player to solo a calamity difficulty dungeon. That's when I find out my server is planet Earth plus neighbors. The countries came through the portal as empires. China's the Shenlong Empire, America's the Holy Church Empire, Japan's the Sakura Kingdom, and so on, all parked on one continent behind sealed borders, all racing to grow strong enough for the real game outside. And in every one of them, some top-tier genius with an SSS talent hears my announcement and takes it personally. A fireball prodigy named Caleb in the American Empire, an archer in Korea whose chat immediately claims I'm secretly Korean, a swordsman in my own empire called One Blade Silver Mist, currently soloing bosses on pure technique, and in Japan, a moon-themed SSS player named Yagami, who smiles at my announcement and says the tallest tree catches the wind. Keep an eye on Yagami. His relationship with wind is about to get very educational. And in Beginner Village 9526, one village over from mine, two S-rank talents hear the name Wang Feng and freeze. My wife remembers it's my old handle. Chen Hao waves it off. Impossible. I pulled the tube myself. Then they talk themselves into the perfect plan. If that Wang Feng is some stranger, seduce him for his gear. If it's really me, even easier. That kid was so obsessed with you, he'll hand over everything if you crook a finger. They start racing to level up and find me. I'm racing to level up and find them. The universe checks its watch and starts selling tickets. Grax loot is a Christmas morning. 4 unidentified dark gold uniques. 3 summoning skill books that fuse into 1, warriors, archers, and mages out of a single skill. An aura that buffs every undead around me. And a quest item. A crystal ball with a ghost inside, offering an epic grade quest line. Standard player move. Accept the epic quest. Feels special. My move. Calamity the quest item first. The crystal ball flickers, and the quest inside it upgrades a full grade. Epic becomes legendary. Some dead hero named Arthur instead of whoever Gareth was, and there's now a frost dragon swimming inside the glass. The requirements scale up too. Hit level 30 within a month or lose it, but the ball immediately straps itself to my wrist as a legendary offhand. I have upgraded a piece of homework into a scholarship. Outside the dungeon, the whole village is waiting, and Gold Hoarder has parked his team at the portal like an airport pickup. I don't bother finding a private room for the trade. I summon 10 of my new skeleton warriors as a privacy fence. The crowd goes quiet in the specific way crowds go quiet when they see 6-digit health bars on somebody's pets. His team's ace, a spear girl called Willow, S-rank, genuinely good, looks at my skeletons, looks at her spear, and visibly reevaluates her life. The trade itself is beautiful. I sell him a mountain of gear I don't need at prices nobody else could pay. He doesn't haggle once, and when he runs out of money mid-purchase, I extend him credit against a system contract with penalty interest. Then I sweeten it. I promise his team the nightmare and hell first clears. They're worthless to me now, in exchange for every life soul stone in their reward pools. He agrees so fast I almost feel guilty. Almost. While his team farms my leftovers, I level the lazy way, lying on a boulder in the high-level grassland, hands behind my head, while my skeletons strip mine the local ecosystem. Somewhere out there, players are white-knuckling every pull. I'm watching clouds while my experience bar fills like a parking meter running backwards. And because comfort breeds ambition, I run the numbers on my most reckless purchase yet. There's a humble low-rank skill in my kit, summoning space expansion, plus a couple of summon slots, the kind of thing veteran players skip. The Tier 3 Calamity on it costs 20 years of lifespan. I currently hold about 22, all of it scraped together from boss rewards. I eat my entire stockpile of soul stones. The warm green light of 65 stones flooding in at once is genuinely better than most things I did as a rich man, and then spend almost all of it in one sentence. Calamity, Tier 3. The skill comes back with 2 cataclysm traits that justify every gray hair, my control radius over the army quintuples, and, the big one, any summon that dies self-resurrects in my summoning space, full health, once per hour. My skeletons now have better life insurance than I do. What I'm left with on the other side of the transaction is a summon cap in the hundreds and a personal death clock reading, under 3 years. Under 3 years. Noted, filed, ignored, right up until the grassland teaches me why that number matters. A skeleton on the edge of my range dies. Not damaged, deleted. Full health to 0, 1 hit, from something I can't even see. And every warm fuzzy feeling I've built up since the dungeon evaporates. Because whatever just did that could do it to Blizzard, sorry, getting ahead of myself, could do it to me, shared health pool or not, and I just spent my safety margin of lifespan on upgrades. I turn my skeleton army around and speedwalk the other way, like a man who has remembered he is mortal. The thing catches up anyway. It's a middle-aged man in a tattered robe, silver hair, floating. He introduces himself by billing me 100 gold for ruining his mood, takes the money out of my hands without visibly moving, and then, since I'm being polite about the robbery, sells me one of his paintings as a bonus. The painting is titled, A Wolf Pouncing on a Cow. It looks like a 3-year-old's insurance fraud. I tell him it's so profound I'll need years of quiet study to appreciate it, and this shameless flattery works so well he appraises all 4 of Grax's dark gold uniques for free. His name is Shen Mu, village appraiser, part-time. His level displays as question marks. He can one-shot my skeletons, he flies, and he works a service window in a beginner village for fun. When I ask him to appraise my epic robe, he tosses it back. Too high grade for his license, he says, with the confidence of a man for whom licenses are a costume. But he offers to teach me the appraisal skill myself. Price, 500 ancient gold coins. Ancient gold coins. I look at my backpack, where 12 ancient bronze coins, the useless collector's currency my very first upgrade produced, have been gathering dust as a monument to failure. Regular coins plus calamity equals ancient coins. My biggest flop just became a mint. I calamity 500 gold on the spot and hand him the stack before he finishes walking away. Shenmue turns around, looks at the coins, looks at me, and for 1 second the immortal art hobo actually loses his composure. He teaches me appraisal, friends me, and leaves me a follow-up quest. 10,000 ancient coins for a surprise before flying off mid-sentence. 10,000 coins for a surprise from a guy whose level is punctuation. Yeah, I'm collecting that. The rest of the Grassland session is compound interest with a comedy track. My new appraisal skill meets my epic robe and fails. 10% success rate. Fail, fail, fail. I burn my entire mana pool on 7 straight failures, while my skeletons politely pretend not to watch. And when the robe finally lights up on attempt 8, I upgrade it out of spite into a legendary that lets me double cast. Worth it, barely. Then a skeleton finds a wild treasure chest guarded by a wolf pack and a silver boss, all of whom my army deletes before I finish walking over. And I get to test the theory I've been saving. Chests upgrade too. Silver becomes gold under my hand, contents scaling with it. And inside the gold chest is a gold grade treasure map, which is the game putting a nesting doll inside my nesting doll. I upgrade the map as well. Dark gold now. Visions of the ultimate Matryoshka spinning in my head. Map to chest to better chest. Legendary loot assembling itself from a starter zone box. And then the marked route renders on my world map. And the destination pin lands in a city called Jingli, in the Sakura Kingdom, on the other side of a sealed national border. My infinite Matryoshka scheme dies at customs. First loss to geopolitics. Not the last. I fold the map into my backpack next to the ancient bronze coins in the drawer of investments awaiting a market. Level 10 hits, the village cap, and the entire region hears about it because of course I'm the first. The village elder walks me to a teleporter with the face of a man releasing a tiger into a suburb, and I step out into East Sea City, one of the Empire's 10 great cities. Population, everyone but players. I'm the first human from Earth to leave the tutorial, and the moment I open my class book at level 10, 2 things happen. 1. The death scripture unlocks a passive called Soul Extraction. Everything I kill feeds me soul points, and any player I kill takes double the death penalty. 20 years minimum. My murder budget for the happy couple just got cut from 8 kills to 4 each. I'm genuinely annoyed about that. 2. The book teaches me my first SSS grade skill, Death Gaze. I look at something. It takes 10 seconds of true damage, gets slammed with fear, and, the line that matters, anything whose life rank is lower than mine loses a fifth of everything it is, instantly. No resist, no appeal. What's a life rank? Excellent question. The answer, it turns out, is the thing that decides every fight I'm about to have for the rest of this story. I'm standing alone in the empty teleport plaza admiring my new murder vision when the air folds open and an old man in monk's robes steps out of nowhere. His panel? Guol Han, Lord of East Sea City, elder of something called the Divine Dragon Hall. Level? Question marks. He looks at the death tattoo on my hand the way a customs officer looks at a suitcase that's ticking and says the sentence that officially ends my tutorial arc. Little guy, you're both lucky and unlucky. What Guol Han tells me in pieces I'll spend weeks assembling. My class shouldn't exist here. Lord of Death is a dominator tier profession, a thing from outside this quarantine continent, and the road it walks is harder than any other ruler class. Then he says, grow up fast, time is running out for you newcomers, drops a rusty medal, and vanishes. The medal is a test with a 5-minute fuse, a personal trial map called the Land of the Forgotten, 1 week to explore it fully. No time to prep, no time to shop. I activate it on the spot, because when a man with question marks for a level gives you homework, you do the homework. The Land of the Forgotten is night that never ends, graves to the horizon, and the second I deploy my army, the graves answer. Skeletons, a sea of them, thousands upon thousands of level 20 skeletons crawling out of the ground in every direction, which for any normal player is a horror movie, and for me is a buffet with unlimited seating. My warriors form a ring, my archers and mages fire over their shoulders, and the kill feed starts scrolling like end credits. That's where I meet Elias, a translucent ghost who drifts out of the dark, introduces himself as a forgotten one, and instantly earns 10% map completion just by existing, which tells me he's the key to this whole place. He's also, how do I put this respectfully, a man whose soul has been through a blender. Ask him a question, and he clutches his head and chants, a terrible curse, on loop. Ask him where to go, and he points, walks you 10 minutes, and announces he forgot. At one point, I complain out loud that I wish I had an AoE spell, and Elias lights up. I know where to find that skill. Where? I forgot. Later he floats over, deadly serious. I can teach it to you. Raises a glowing hand, freezes, turns to me with genuine confusion. How does teaching work? I use my new SSS murder vision on a horde of monsters instead of him, barely. To his credit, when he finally remembers, he tips a fingertip to my forehead and gives me corpse explosion. Detonate a body, damage everything around it. I upgrade it, max it, and the first cast vaporizes 2,000 skeletons in one boom. The sea of dead parts like I'm carrying a leaf blower through autumn. The locals of this place are 7 coffin-bound half-liches, each chained up mid-transformation, each dropping a fragment of something called the Cursed Crown. The first one, Barnaby, bursts from his coffin mid-monologue. Your death energy will fuel my transformation, and gets exactly one line further before I look at him. The system chimes. Your life rank is higher than his. His 3 million HP drops by 40%. He forgets he's a boss, and he spends his last 10 seconds running through my formation like a headless fly, screaming, while my archers turn him into a percussion instrument. The look Elias gives me afterward. Let's hurry and kill, save the next one. Tells me the ghost and I have reached a working arrangement. Half-liches 2 through 7 receive the same treatment with less ceremony. 10 hours of this, and I've gone from level 10 to 15 and collected all 7 crown fragments, each one upgraded before assembly, because I'm not an amateur. The assembled cursed crown, by the way, comes with a drawback. Its wearer is continuously corroded by death energy. For anyone else, a slow poison. For me, a trickle charger. The corrosion feeds straight into my death energy reserves, the fuel for my summon buffing skill, refilling on its own all day long. The most cursed item in the region is functionally a power bank with a hat problem. I do not take it off for the rest of the story. The moment the cursed crown clicks together as a legendary item, Elias has a full system meltdown and gets his memory back. All of it. He was the mayor of Sunset Town. The Lich Malachi cursed his whole city into this eternal graveyard, killed his family, his friends, everyone, and the sea of skeletons I've been mulching all day used to be his neighbors. And right on cue, the ground splits open and Malachi's coffin rises out of the deep, woken by the scent of his own crown. Malachi is the real thing. An actual Lich, epic grade, 35 million HP, 3 schools of magic, and an opening move of summoning his own undead legion, including Shadow Knights with 1 million HP apiece. He reaches out for the cursed crown with total confidence. Come home to master. The crown does not move because the crown is on my head. I put it on in front of him. Lord of Death ignores equip requirements, and there is no gesture on this earth more disrespectful than wearing a man's hat while he watches. What I get my hands on is mine, I tell him, and the fight starts. Somewhere in the exchange, he demands to know who I am, a human, radiating death power purer than a lich's own, and I give him the classic. I'm your father. Beat. Actually, no, forget it. I don't have a son that ugly. He calls it an insult to the great undead. I call it an accurate appraisal. I'm certified now. His army meets mine and evaporates. I detonate one of his own dead Shadow Knights in the middle of his formation, and a 1 million HP corpse makes for a spectacular grenade. Then I look at him. 14 million HP deleted by a glance, his own crown cursing him from my head. He does land one real lesson. His ultimate, layered with the bone dragon he summons next, chews a quarter off my shared health pool in one wave, and I file away a cold little note. My immortality is a math trick, and a big enough AOE breaks the math. Then I pump one skeleton warrior full of death energy, 640% stat boost, and watch it suplex the bone dragon out of the sky. The bone dragon, Xylo, 80 million HP, dies to 2 buffed warriors playing catch with it. Malachi dies too, except no first kill announcement plays, and his body drops nothing, and every gamer instinct I have says the same word, phylactery. A lich isn't dead until the box his soul lives in is dead. The rewards for this half of the trial alone rewrite my life expectancy. 50 soul stones which upgrade into 50 years, plus the earlier hauls. My death clock goes from months to decades in one afternoon. The one-year man now has 52 years, and you'd think that would make me relax. It makes me greedy. Remember that. Xylo drops a mount pendant. Epic mount. An undead bone dragon. I calamity it before using, obviously, and it becomes a legendary horn instead. I put the horn to my lips and blow, and it turns out the horn does the blowing for 10 straight minutes, draining over 1 million mana, while I stand there like a man holding a firework that won't stop. Then space rips, and out of a portal from an entirely different world steps a frost dragon 100 meters long. His opening line, human. I never expected the one summoning me would be such a weakling. His second line never happens because the game's rules crash down on him like a corporate NDA, wipe the attitude, and contract him to me on the spot. Loyalty, 100, permanent, because my class says so. I name him Blizzard because I was a CEO, not a poet. And then I do the thing you already know I'm going to do. I calamity my own mount. Blizzard cocoons in light and comes out a Blizzard Dragon King, mythic grade, 240 million HP at level 0. He does a lap of the dead land, screaming with joy, then lands, bows his head, and says, with an entirely new tone, "Thank you, Master, for raising my life rank." I tell him good work gets more of that, and just like that, I've onboarded my first employee. When I climb on for the first flight, cold gathers along his spine and builds me a throne of black-blue ice between his horns. Armrests carved from bone spurs, windproof, somehow warm. You're good at this, I tell him, and my dragon preens. His compensation package is materials. He eats crafting mats like popcorn, levels off them directly, and develops an immediate, shameless habit of drooling audibly whenever my backpack opens. Master, I smell energy. You'll be hearing that a lot. The regional announcements at this point are just my highlight reel. The Mount leaderboard unlocks because of Blizzard, a leaderboard with one entry, mythic grade, mine, and the world chat runs through the stages of grief in real time. Are we even playing the same game? No, we are not. Which leaves Malachi's soul box, a foot-wide casket with 1 million durability that shrugs off Blizzard's dragon breath at point blank. Unbreakable by force. So Elias steps up. The scattered mayor, the broken record, floats over and says quietly and completely clearly that the souls Malachi devoured, his people, are still inside, and he can wake them. He burns the last of himself doing it. The box opens from within, Malachi's naked soul comes shrieking out looking for an exit, and the death scripture on my hand opens by itself and inhales him like soup. 1,000 soul points. And silence where Elias used to be. Sunset Town thanks you, is the last thing he says. I don't make a joke here. Some bills the mist pays quietly. 100% exploration, level 20. And the man who couldn't remember his own name is the reason I walk out. Malachi's loot box, the actual loot, once the soul box crumbles, sets up my next act. Legendary pants with a 10-second invincibility button. A lich staff that upgrades into a legendary catastrophe on a stick, whose third stat line stops my heart. Summoning space plus 50, which through my stacked multipliers means plus 1,000 skeletons. And a skill book, Summon Shadow Knight, which I max and then upgrade into Summon Headless Knight, and the system quietly opens a door I didn't know existed. Commander units. Each Headless Knight is an officer with his own aura and his own legion, over 100 Shadow Knights apiece, none of whom count against my cap. I now run an army with middle management. Back in East Sea City, I get my first lesson in civic life. A Griffin patrol pulls me over for flying without a license, fines me 100 gold, and then I mention I know the city lord, and the squad leader's spine liquefies in real time. You should have said so earlier. Isn't this a flood washing away the Dragon King's temple? Sir, 2 seconds ago you were writing me a ticket. Guohan's debrief is where the world gets big. Classes tier up every 30 levels. Level 29 is a wall you advance through, 9 tiers total, and the quarantine continent exists because the gods themselves are locked out of it. Then he gets to my class specifically, and his voice drops. To advance, a Lord of Death must feel death. A lot of death. Human death. Which is why the Divine Dragon Hall, the shadow organization running my entire empire, has one request, delivered as a contract. Do your advancing in other countries. They'll even help. There's a man with a treasure that crosses sealed borders. Find him, hand him a letter, and in exchange, I get a parchment with clues to my class's legendary equipment set. Guohan conjures the man's portrait in the air. It's Shenmue, the art hobo, the wolf pouncing on a cow guy. I sign the contract so fast the ink smears. As a citizen of the empire, is there even a need to think? While privately noting that my appraisal buddy who overcharges for bad paintings is apparently the Empire's cross-border nuclear option. They throw in a signing bonus, token 007, which makes me the city lord's honored guest, and a private estate, the White Knight Courtyard, walled, guarded, my name on the deed. I ask Guohan exactly how far the token's privileges stretch. Flying in the city, for instance. Flying? You could kill someone in the city and it wouldn't be a problem. My eyes must do something, because the old man immediately coughs and amends. Ahem, not too many. Don't worry, I tell him, just a couple of enemies. He looks relieved in a way that suggests he did not fully process the sentence. I spend the evening there opening the death scripture with Malachi's 1,000 soul points, and it teaches me my second SSS skill, Death Domain Leap. Blink anywhere I can see, every 10 seconds, with 7 seconds of total immunity after each jump, plus death curtains, portable gray doorways I can paint across the battlefield to teleport my entire army wherever I'm looking. I spend an hour in my courtyard popping 100,000 skeletons in and out of existence like the world's most morbid screensaver. Blizzard, who I forgot was napping on my shoulder mid-test, materializes upside down in the sky over the yard and has opinions about it. And then the first wave of S-rank players starts arriving from the beginner villages, which means it's time for the errand I crossed a hospital bed to run. I ring the teleport plaza with my entire army. Skeletons at every exit, archers on overwatch, headless knights closing the sky. Announcement to the arriving elite of the empire. You're free to leave, through me. Everyone files past for inspection like it's the world's most heavily armed customs line. 2 loudmouths object on principle. 2 arrows later, they've each donated 10 years of lifespan to the cause of everyone else's silence. Dominus, arriving with his guild's vanguard, breaks into a cold sweat mid-sentence and thanks every god available that he talks slowly. Face after face. Not them. Not them. The white flashes keep coming, and I stand on Blizzard's head above the checkpoint like the least merciful airport scanner ever built. Then 2 more lights, a man and a woman. Tang Mei Ling spots me first, and I watch the performance boot up in real time. The eyes go wide, the hand comes up to the mouth, the tears arrive on schedule. She crosses the plaza in her pretty mage robes while every other player scrambles away from her, and delivers the line she must have rehearsed the whole way here. Li Wei, I finally found you. Behind her, Chen Hao is already texting her their game plan. I find the transcript later. Whether we can keep enjoying this game depends on you, baby. Her reply has a kissing emoji in it. And here's the strange thing. I've imagined this moment through every level of my climb, and now that it's here, the rage doesn't spike, it settles. Because the woman crying at me was the most perfect wife imaginable. Once, every reaction calibrated, every smile timed, and knowing what was under it makes the craftsmanship worse, not better. 5 years of performance. I bought every show. What a coincidence, I tell her. I've been looking for you too. Chen Hao chooses this moment to sidle up with his salesman grin. President Su, Miss Liu searched the whole village for you. I swear, and I look at him. Just look. The gaze takes him mid-sentence. He sees whatever people see in that darkness, screams like a slaughterhouse, and drops dead in front of the entire plaza in less than a second. His girlfriend's scream is only half theater. I don't kill her yet. That's the point. I pick her up, collect his corpse timer, and walk both of them to the city's resurrection hall. And when the city guard arrives, griffins, spears, the works, their commander recognizes the city lord's guest token and just asks me to keep the noise down. You've made quite a commotion, Lord Wang Feng. The plaza empties around us like water around a stone. One player who publicly warned her to get away from me is later seen re-evaluating his entire life. What happens in the resurrection hall takes an hour, and I'm not going to dress it up. Chen Hao revives. She watches me kill him with a glance. She dies. He watches. He begs, actually kneels, face on the tile, and I stand on his back and wait for the respawn timers, because I decided in the hospital bed that they would each watch the other go. My death penalty is doubled, remember, 20 years per kill. Chen Hao's account runs dry on the 4th death. His body doesn't even leave a corpse, it just unravels mid-scream into nothing, deleted by the game like a typo. Tang Mei Ling, watching that, crawls to me on her knees with 8 years left on her clock and offers everything. The tears are real now, first time for everything, and asks how I could do this after 5 years together. 5 years. Her choice of words, not mine. You're the last person alive who's allowed to say that number to me, I tell her, and use the gaze one final time. The system pays out 1 soul point per permanent death, and the hall goes very quiet, and I stand there waiting for the triumph to arrive. It doesn't, exactly. What arrives is lighter than triumph, the noise that's been running under everything since the breathing tube, the replaying, the accounting, the 5-year slideshow just stops. I walk out of the resurrection hall into the sun, and for the first time since I woke up in the Starlight Palace, I'm not playing this game to get somewhere. I'm just playing. The guard captain pokes his head in afterward, surveys the scorch marks, and asks if I'm all done. City Lord's orders, no charges. The 2 players I killed at the plaza tell everyone who'll listen, never joke around Wang Feng. Good policy. Wish it had existed 5 years ago. Then I discover the economy, and I'm sorry to report the economy never recovers. Gem shops sell attribute gems, level 4 for 500 gold, level 5 for 3,000. I buy level 4s, calamity them into level 5s, and sell them back across every jewelry shop in the city. 2 hours, 100,000 gold becomes 980,000. I teleport through all 10 great cities running the same loop and cross 10 million by dinner time. In one day, playing a video game, I out-earn my entire previous career as an actual CEO. The wealth leaderboard unlocks later, and it's another list with one name on it. The auction house teaches me the real currency, though. I walk in expecting to be impressed, and the ticket prices alone tax my ego. The cheapest back row seat costs 1,000 gold, the VIP boxes 100,000, and a clerk behind me mutters that the newcomer will surely be scared off. Then I flash the City Lord's token, and the establishment produces a free lifetime VIP card, box number 007, plus an interest-free credit line, and the clerk develops sudden amnesia. The token also unlocks a 20% discount at nearly every shop in the city, which I will be abusing industrially. The real education is soul coins. One is worth 10,000 gold, because each one holds an hour of compressed lifespan. Everything in this world at the top end is priced in time to live. Soul stones are just refined hours, distilled by masters. The whole continent is a life insurance market with sword fights. And the auction lets my consignments count as bidding credit, which matters because I've just listed a life soul crystal, an upgraded stone worth 100 years. When the hammer falls days later, it goes for 2.38 million soul coins, talked up by an auctioneer named Jia, whose golden tongue impresses gold hoarders so much he poaches the man on the spot to run our operation. The final lot that night is an invitation to trials at the Divine Dragon Hall itself, and the room bids like it's oxygen. I don't bid. I've already got the hall's members making house calls. But before that, the second best decision of my run, Gold Hoarder, fresh out of the village, gives me a legendary gamble scroll from his money tree and pitches deep cooperation. I counteroffer. I don't need a partner. I need an agent. 1% commission. He nearly flips the table. So I show him a level 5 gem turning into a percentage stat brilliant gem between my fingers, then open my wallet and show him 10 million gold. He goes very quiet. And then the leaderboards unlock. My name at number 1 on every single list, my title upgrading itself in real time, and Gold Hoarder, self-made tycoon, reader of markets, makes the read of his life. He proposes the reverse deal, a soul contract. He keeps 5%. 95% of everything he ever earns is mine, enforced by the game itself, breach punishable by soul deletion. 5% of a mountain, he says, beats 100% of a hill. The man bet his soul on my growth curve. I shake his hand and immediately hand him 10 million gold, which triggers his talent's hidden threshold. At 10 million, his class upgrades to the unique hidden profession God of Wealth, and his money tree starts shaking out soul coins instead of gold. 680 of them, first pull, plus a soul stone that I upgrade into a 100-year crystal in front of him. We stare at each other over the pile. The compound interest of me plus him is going to be a war crime. His new trade skill upgrades into the God of Wealth contract. We can exchange goods instantly at any distance on the same planet. I can now loot a battlefield in one country and have it sold in another before the bodies cool. That one sentence is the load-bearing wall of everything I do in Japan. Gold Hoarder moves like a man possessed. He poaches the auction manager, buys land in all 10 great cities, and stands up the Myriad Realms auction house chain in a day, then 81 more in the second-tier cities. He recruits 100,000 casual players as salaried crafters. World Chat's reaction to learning the new mega corporation is player-owned. We arrived from Earth together and you're already a capitalist. Meanwhile, his money tree, now hard linked to my net worth, prints soul coins daily. The wealth leaderboard shows me at 36 million soul coins, Gold Hoarder second, and his second-place fortune is literally his 5%. Out west, Dominus relocates his 3,000-man guild as far away from me as the map allows, writes another page in the grudge book, and tells himself it's strategy. There's one more errand before the border. The mercenary team Gold Hoarder built, Willow the Spear Ace, the Tank, the Little Priestess, signs under me directly as the Dark Knight mercenary group, and I spend 10 minutes upgrading their talents and gear. Willow walks out an S rank. The three of them float home on a cloud until the Priestess asks the group's foundational question. Could any of us beat one of the boss's skeletons? The cloud dissolves in silence somewhere over the third rooftop. That night, I take the army to the coast for what's supposed to be a quiet grind, and instead invent the business model that carries the rest of this story. The problem reveals itself immediately. I let Blizzard off the leash to play, and 30 seconds of Dragon Breath plus one night charge wipes every monster on the beach. 300 kills, screen full of loot, and then silence, sand. My gigantic army standing around a picked clean coastline like a demolition crew that finished early. I have outscaled the map's ability to feed me. Then Blizzard radios in from down the coast. Master, I found a boss, gold grade, and the idea arrives fully formed. Catch it. Don't kill it. My dragon returns holding a 10-meter sea serpent king like a disappointing fish, pins it to the beach, and I do the thing no player in the history of games has ever done to a boss. I upgrade it. Alive. Mid-struggle. The serpent balloons 2 size classes, its health bar septuples, and its bestiary flavor text updates in real time to say it is only interested in revenge on the one who just humiliated it. It gets 4 seconds of its glorious new life before Blizzard freezes its head off, and the experience payout from a dark gold kill lands on me like a slot machine jackpot. Farm the monster. Upgrade the monster. Farm it again. Bigger. From this night on, no creature in my path dies at its born rank. Every rabbit, wolf, and crab gets a promotion and then a funeral, and my experience and loot multiply by whole orders of magnitude. The coastline becomes an assembly line. I ride ahead ennobling the wildlife. My army follows performing layoffs. By morning, I've gone up 7 levels. My level 89 cap is visible on the horizon, and Gold Hoarder, receiving the loot flood through our contract at 3 in the morning, sends the message that becomes his catchphrase. Boss, slow the trades down. I'm getting buried. The overnight leaderboard jump breaks the world a little. 9 levels while the planet slept. The SSS elites wake up, check the board, and their group despair is measurable from space. Even Dominus, glimpsing my dragon cross the night sky over his new desert home, reportedly told his guild to farm faster and move the whole operation another province west. Then I fly to a waterfall where Shenmue is painting a landscape crime, pay him his 10,000 ancient coins, and get the surprise, a one-use skill that condenses a sword clone carrying a strand of his power, rated legendary grade. A strand. His pocket change is a legendary summon. I hand him the Dragon Hall's letter, brace for a quest chain, find the treasure, earn the crossing, and he stretches, pockets the letter, and says, "Good choice, let's go," as in, he's coming. He makes one phone call first to someone in the capital, and I only hear his half. What I promised was to stay hidden until the newcomers arrived. This doesn't count as breaking it, and the other end goes very quiet. Whoever Shenmue is hiding from, they're not from this continent. Whatever he's about to do abroad, the strongest people in my empire just decided not to argue with him about it. He hangs up, taps my forehead to hide my aura from an entire country's worth of detection, a Dragon Hall going away gift, and takes out a small black and white token. The token screams. The sky answers. Across 2 nations at once, the invisible border between empires becomes visible, a wall across heaven, groaning, while every player on the continent stops mid-swing and stares up. In Japan, the ruling ninja order, the Yin-Ren Secret Society, hits every alarm they have. Their leadership stares at the shuddering barrier and says the most reasonable sentence available. This is a barrier set by the game itself. Who has the ability to shake it? Space tears. Shenmue grabs my collar like I'm luggage, and we step through. The announcement goes off planet-wide before my foot lands. First player in Blue Star to cross a national border. And the Sakura Kingdom greets me with a system message of its own, addressed to all of its players, and I want you to appreciate the design here. I'm flagged as an invader. If they kill me or drive me out, every Japanese player gets double experience, forever. But for every 24 hours I stay, every Japanese player loses 2% of their experience gain. The whole country just got turned into my hostage, and the ransom ticks daily. My own buff mirrors it. The longer I stay, the more experience I earn. The game has openly declared me a natural disaster with a loyalty program. Sakura Chat lights up with a national manhunt. Yagami pins a bounty. Wanted posters go up in every city, issued not to players, but to the kingdom's actual powerhouses. And Shenmue, having delivered me into the middle of a nation that now exists to kill me, stretches again and delivers his entire mentorship philosophy in 2 sentences. Make as much trouble as you can. The bigger, the better. Then he flies off to do crimes of his own. We'll get to his crimes. His crimes deserve their own paragraph. First order of business in enemy territory, skill maintenance. Gold Hoarder has been feeding the advanced skill books, which upgrade into perfect skill books. Instant max level for any skill, including SSS ones. An item so rare the description says the whole continent barely sees them. I max death extraction feedback. I can now pump a summon's main stat by 1000% for 2 minutes, on a loop, because my cursed crown passively drips death energy into me like a wall charger. My skeleton kings keep turning into 10-meter siege engines on demand. Second order of business. I meet the local wildlife. A two-headed vulture the size of a stadium. The dark feathered demon vulture, level unreadable, spots Blizzard and decides a baby dragon king is the meal of a lifetime. Its opening attack outranges us by a kilometer. What follows is the most educational chase of my life. I juggle Blizzard between death curtains, blinking a 100-meter dragon left, right, behind, above, until the vulture is chasing after images, and its two heads nearly braid themselves into a knot. As a parting gift, I wrap its face in a ball of 200 skeletons. They can't hurt it, but they don't need to. They're packing material. And we leave it thrashing in the sky, screaming at clouds. Remember the vulture. The vulture has a future in my organization. Third order of business, the actual job, souls. My next death scripture unlock costs 5,000 soul points, and players pay out 1/10 of a point per kill. The math says I need a customer base. The customer base, bless them, comes to me. A mercenary squad led by an S-rank named Kuroda 11 is out in a swamp hunting a mysterious skeleton boss that is, in fact, my skeleton, standing where I parked it. Their tank walks up to it, its panel all question marks, and their last coherent thought is recorded live in party chat. Maybe we should run. The respawn hall conversation afterward becomes the Sakura Kingdom's first piece of Wang Feng folklore. 20 years of lifespan gone, each. One guy doesn't respawn at all. Turns out he had less than 20 years left, and my death penalty ate him whole. The kingdom learns a new fact about their invader. He doesn't kill you. He forecloses on you. Then I stop retail and go wholesale. Outside the city of Sichuan, I unfold 4 death curtains into a kilometer-long line of undead, a death line, and harvest the entire leveling population in the fields. 400 simultaneous firestorms. 20,000 players return to town in half an hour. The local hero squad, the 100 Ghosts, marches out the gate to collect my bounty and gets incinerated before anyone sees me, which is becoming a theme. The city guard shows up next, and their commander is the first real wall I hit, a local powerhouse whose stats I can't even read. His opening move one-shots my 1000% buffed Skeleton King. His second move never lands because I look at him. The system chimes, my life rank is higher, and above his head appears a number that breaks the local player's brains on the spot, minus 4.8 billion. His hidden HP pool was 12 billion, and my glance just deleted 40% of it. Someone in the crowd films it. The clip goes national. 1, 10, 100, 1,000. Is that 4 billion? Yes, it is. Then the city lord himself, Tanaka, comes out of the gate screaming, "I will tear you to pieces." And this man is a genuine problem, faster than Blizzard at full burn, closing a 4-kilometer head start in about a minute. His first range slash forces me to blink off the dragon's back mid-air. His second passes through my post-blink immunity like rain through a window, which confuses him more than it comforts me. I slow him with my crown's curse aura, 30% turns out to be more like 15 against something his size, noted, and gaze him, and the number that pops off his frame is 14 billion. He coughs blood in mid-air, stares at his own health bar like it insulted his mother, screams, "How can you hurt me?" and keeps coming. What does one even do with a man like this? Did I kill his father and steal his wife? All I did was visit his city. Outrunning him isn't happening. So I stop trying to escape and start navigating, specifically toward the town where my old friend the two-headed vulture is currently having a tantrum, because half-destroyed buildings and screaming refugees mean the vulture got here first, and a plan assembles itself out of spare parts. I dive Blizzard into the panicking crowd, dismiss him mid-fall, blink twice, and become one more terrified pedestrian among thousands, while my aura cloak makes me unreadable. Tanaka arrives overhead to find no invader, just the beast that's been humiliating his region for years, suddenly very interested in fighting him because it can feel that he's 40% lighter than usual. Tanaka sees the vulture sees Tanaka, and the 40% stat cut I just applied to him. And I, from inside a crowd of fleeing refugees, glance up at the vulture one last time. Calamity, Ascension, free. The vulture erupts mid-battle into a 5-headed legendary monster, realizes the human hunting it is suddenly the smaller predator, and commits. I walk out of town while the sky behind me turns into a kaiju divorce. 2 hours later, the national announcement declares Sichuan City destroyed by the dark feather demon vulture. My bounty doubles for association, and Yagami quietly deletes his pinned bounty on me like a man unpinning his own obituary. Let the record show, I never touched that city. I just performed one act of wildlife philanthropy and left without collecting credit. Concealing merit and fame, as the ancients say. The treasure map from the Shenlong grasslands finally pays out around here, too. The chest at the destination upgrades from dark gold to epic, and then has the audacity to lock itself. The unlock costs 36 space crystals, and the chest's own item description mocks me. You don't even have 36 space crystals, do you, young man? The chest is right. But the chest doesn't know I have a procurement department. One call to Gold Hoarder, one interest-free VIP loan, and the sarcastic box opens to reveal a luck ring, which upgrades into the blessing of the goddess of luck and activates a hidden stat I didn't know existed. My lifetime luck score, it turns out, has been 2 points. Every jackpot so far I hit at 2 luck. The ring makes it 32, with a button for 64. I test the button immediately on the mythic gamble scroll Gold Hoarder gave me. The dice, a 6-sided die, mind you, rolls a 93. I don't ask questions anymore. The prize is a divine appraisal manual that upgrades into a Saint Extinction grade artifact, a whole tier above Mythic, the ceiling of this continent, called the Mystic Heaven Treasure Mirror, which I can't use until my appraisal rank hits Grand Master. Into the backpack it goes, a loaded gun for a later chapter. 5,000 soul points come together outside a third-tier city, harvested largely from refugees who paid their last coins teleporting away from the last city I visited, only to land directly under my dragon. No apologies are forthcoming, and the game agrees. My kill counter crossed 100 permanent deaths, and the title track that starts at 100-Man Slayer begins its long, ominous climb. And then I open the death scripture for my advancement quest, brace for some grand trial of death, and read it twice because it can't be right. The trial: bring your health from full to exactly 1 drop with perfect control within 5 seconds per step. More than 1 drop remaining? Fail. Less? You're dead. It's a precision suicide exam that should take a normal player weeks of near-death attempts with a trusted torturer. My health has been 1 out of 1 since the hospital bed. The quest auto-completes before I finish reading it. Task complete. The curse that's been sitting in my status screen since character creation, the unexplained, unliftable, permanent 1 HP lock, just turned out to be a pre-completed certificate for the Lord of Death's entrance exam. I sit with that for a moment. Reason: unknown, the panel still says. Sure it is. Tier 2 hits like a religious experience. My stat coefficient scales up, and then the class shows me what Dominator profession actually means. My strength and spirit fuse into a single stat, Lord's Power. Every point of 1 is now a point of both. My spell power becomes my physical attack. Armor restrictions? Gone. I can wear anything, swing anything. The frail summoner archetype quietly dies, and something new stands up in its place. Something the game files under a category of its own. The 2 class skills that come with the tier get upgraded on principle, and both come back monsters. Life sharing becomes the death contract. All damage to me is force split across every creature I've summoned or contracted. While any of them lives, no attack can touch my body. Full stop. And Death Summons becomes the Death Edict. All summons instant, no cooldown, 30 times the capacity, and every creature resurrects once, free, at full health. My summoning space jumps to 39,000. The word army stops being a metaphor. While the power fusion cooks, my body finally does something it hasn't done since Earth. It asks a question. I've been awake for days, no sleep, no food, no fatigue, while Gold Hoarder's team visibly wilts around their dinner plates. The hunger stat every player has? Mine doesn't exist. The panel doesn't even display the row. I file it in the drawer marked Things About My Body That the Game Refuses to Explain, which is becoming a crowded drawer. Tier 2 unlocked, I do what any responsible commander does. I take a fortress city hostage without being in the same postal code. Here's the trick. The Death Scripture's second passive, Soul Amplification, lets me burn soul points to turn a contracted creature into a relay for my army. My summons obey me through Blizzard's eyes at any distance, because Blizzard isn't a summon. He's a real being with a contract, and real beings can walk anywhere. So Blizzard flies to the city of Shaoshan alone, hovers over the North Gate looking exactly like a delivery mistake from a bigger war, and when their city lord counts to 1, literally, he gets through 1 of a 3-count ultimatum. A portal opens under my dragon, and 40,000 undead pour out of it like the world's worst pinata. I am, at this moment, 400 kilometers away, lying in a dungeon farming experience with the other half of my army. Multitasking. My old board of directors would weep. The siege itself sets the pattern for everything after. Their barrier is powered by the whole city. Guards, mages, civilians, players in a bucket chain of mana. And it cracks anyway, because my death contract math has become obscene. Any hit on any of my 60,000 units gets split across all of them, and their regeneration outruns the incoming damage. A guard lands his best spear thrust on a skeleton, and the number that floats up is 461. You can hear his soul leave his body through the video feed, which exists, by the way. A Sakura player with a broadcasting talent goes live to the whole country, titled Witness Wang Feng's Arrest, and instead live streams 40,000 skeletons walking through a city barrier like beaded curtains. Yagami, watching from another city, later describes his own emotional journey as, "One second I thought he was an idiot walking into a trap. The next second, I was the clown." And here's the wrinkle nobody in Shaoshan understands until it's too late. The capital never sends help. Because at that exact hour, above the Sakura royal capital, Shenmue is floating in the sky surrounded by every elder of the Yin-Ren secret society, doing what can only be described as hostage yoga. He tells them, in full, "Nobody leaves, stay and play with me." Then he draws one line of sword light across the clouds as a demonstration, and the strongest men in Japan stand in the air like schoolboys at assembly, while, downstream, my dragon eats one of their cities. The city lord of Shaoshan deserves his own line in this story because his day is a tragedy in 3 acts. Act 1. He hears, "The invader is at the gate," suits up in golden armor, and actually smiles. Capturing me means a reward from the capital, a promotion, glory. Act 2. He unloads his best sword arts into my dragon, watches the damage split into 4-digit crumbs across an ocean of undead, and files the most useless help request in his kingdom's history, because the capital's entire leadership is currently standing at sword point attendance in Shenmue's sky classroom. Act 3. The barrier breaks and the tide of skeletons pours in. He chases Blizzard around his own burning city while my dragon, who has learned exactly one negotiation style from me, freezes him in place with chain-cast ice rings and leaves at leisure, calling back over one wing. "I'll come again next time." The Lord's response, verbatim, screamed at the sky. "Do you think this is a brothel? Coming and going as you please?" Sir, your city, your metaphor. When the barrier breaks, Blizzard torches the teleport hall first, no exits, and the resurrection line becomes a conveyor. 100,000 players learn our pricing. -3 levels, -30 years, per death. The one survivor Blizzard deliberately spares is a player mid-live stream. My dragon recognizes the broadcasting talent on site and leaves him filming on his rooftop, because if you're going to conduct a natural disaster, you want it televised. The whole country watches Shaoshan fall in real time, and the name Scourge Legion installs itself in the national vocabulary. After we withdraw, a new figure walks the ruins, Koga Ren, the secret society's top young ninja, all quiet menace, flicking a kunai into an abandoned skeleton and reading the damage split like a forensic report. "Death contract," he says, naming my keystone skill on first inspection, and starts hunting me properly. First competent man in the country. It won't save him, but I respect the process. And then the crimes escalate off-screen in the most beautiful way. Shenmue, done waiting, follows his little black and white token's compass into the royal capital, slices the strongest defensive barrier in the country apart like gift ribbon, and empties the entire national treasury. Not robs, empties. The elders arrive to find bare earth where the vault used to be. The announcement says, not even a needle and thread remained. The system responds by docking every Japanese player 1 level and halving their experience until the treasury is recovered, which is a fascinating choice, punishing 40 million bystanders for a burglary they watched on the news. Sakura Chat begins its descent into the phase of grief where jokes live. "I don't want to play anymore. I want to go home. Why am I a cherry blossom person? It's so hard." Yagami checks the leaderboard, sees my level, and drops his communicator in the dirt. In between sieges, I also casually break the game's dungeon system. I press my palm to a dungeon portal, calamity it, the entrance itself, and the doorway turns permanently blood red, a calamity difficulty dungeon where none should exist, with a third upgrade option priced at 1 million years of lifespan that I decline to think about. Inside, I upgrade the trash mobs into 1,000 simultaneous bosses and clear the room with my army for boss tier loot and boss tier experience, 11 levels in one pull. The Tier 2 cap arrives so fast, level 59, maxed, that when the world's SSS geniuses check the board, the gap between first and second place has tripled while they slept. Oh, and the source of all this, the poison orb the Snake Dungeon's boss dropped? 12 of them are supposed to be collected across the whole country to synthesize the source of deadly poison. I upgrade my one orb straight into the finished source, and the moment it lands in my backpack, 16 vertical pupils open inside a mountain on the far side of the country. Something ancient, 8-headed, and extremely awake announces it will follow the scent and take back what's mine. So I trade the source to Gold Hoarder, in another country, through the contract. Enjoy the scent trail, big guy. It leads through a national border and ends at the Divine Dragon Hall's doorstep. The 8-headed thing's tracking spell must have hit the border wall like a bird hitting glass. The next Death Scripture opening doesn't give me a skill, it gives me a field trip. The book unfolds into a portal and swallows me and Blizzard into the Void Rift, the raw data space between worlds, the game's own server room. And floating in that ocean of light, I finally see what 10,000 realms means. Angel worlds, demon worlds, titan worlds, beast worlds, elf worlds, thousands of civilizations, all merged, all digitized, all playing. Humanity's quarantine continent isn't special. I spot other human enclaves scattered through the stream like crumbs. Whatever built this game merged universes the way I merge skillbooks. 2 things follow me out of the rift. 1. Humility. Actual humility. The first serving since character creation. My invincibility is a big fish in a kiddie pool, and the pool has an ocean attached. 2. A clue burned into the scripture. My class sets location. The Holy Church Empire. The American superpower. Inside the headquarters of their ruling holy order. Of course it is. Last time my treasure map pointed abroad, I got Japan. This time the loot compass points at the one organization on the continent that would consider my entire class a demonic infestation. I make a note to be somewhere else when that bill comes due, and then discover time in the rift runs 1,000 times slow, and 2 full days have passed outside. Shenmue's voicemail confirms he already went home without me. Keep playing. Wasn't the siege fun? I'll pick you up eventually. I am now a stranded war criminal with a pet dragon and no ride. Fortunately, I've never needed a door where I could upgrade a wall. While I restock, the opposition finally produces a plan that isn't form a line and die. Yagami has spent his humiliation productively. He's recruited Shadow Fist, an assassin with an SS rank stealth talent that no detection below SSS can see through, and loaded him with Yagami's own signature move, a buff that converts years of your lifespan into pure, undodgeable true damage on your next strike. Their logic is genuinely sound. Kill me once, just once, and the kingdom's diviners can lock onto my soul and hunt me forever. The two of them toast to it in a tavern in a city called Kongu and settle in to wait for my next siege. I appreciate men who plan around my schedule. My next siege is their city. Kongu gets the upgraded playbook. Blizzard hits level 60 at the worst possible moment, mid-approach, in a pillar of light visible from orbit, because my dragon has the stealth instincts of a parade float, so we skip subtle. I tear open a legendary space lockdown scroll over the teleport hall. 1 kilometer of dead space, 2 hours, no teleports in or out. The city lord watches his escape network die and charges me. I glance at him, and his 9.9 billion HP does the 40% thing. Somewhere on the wall, a new streamer, having learned from his predecessor's mistakes, starts charging 10 silver per viewer for the feed. Tens of millions subscribe. He briefly becomes one of the richest players in the country by broadcasting his own city's funeral. And the first streamer, watching from a ruin, nearly has an aneurysm about the business model he pioneered for free. The whole city feeds the barrier this time. Guards first, then civilians, then every player in town donating mana like it's a blood drive. And it holds. Actually holds. Wave after wave. The entire population betting their lives on a light bulb. So I escalate in stages because I'm curious where the ceiling is. One death energy buffed skeleton king slamming a door-sized sword. The barrier shakes. The city cheers. A second buffed king. This one an archer whose siege arrows arrive like opinions from God. The cheering gets nervous. Then Blizzard stops improvising and recites actual dragon language magic, syllables that make the air ache, condensing a spear of ice the length of a street. Spear meets barrier. Barrier does its best. The mage commander maintaining it coughs blood mid-incantation, the lattice spiderwebs, and the whole thing comes down like a dropped tablecloth over the sound of 40,000 people inhaling at once. And then my real problem arrives. Koga Ren. The Yin Ren Secret Society's strongest young ninja, the one who's been sniffing my trail since Shaoshan. He opens with a scroll called the Hymn of Life that cancels my death gaze suppression, except my class trait doubled the debuff, so his cleanse only strips half, and I watch him do the math mid-air with an expression I will treasure forever. But his signature move is the one that matters, the Thunder-Severing Blade. It doesn't kill my summons, it cuts the leash. One flash of lightning and 20% of my army simply stops being mine, no resurrection trigger, no contract, just gone. The first true counter to my entire class, and he's got it on a short cooldown. What follows is 20 minutes of the most expensive game of tag in gaming history. He needs to sever faster than I can resummon. I resummon instantly and blink every 10 seconds with 7 seconds of immunity. He burns a legendary anti-teleport scroll on me. My leap ignores it because his legendary scroll is arguing with my SSS skill, and the system's judiciary is very clear about tax brackets. He curses, loudly, in Chinese, which he apparently learned specifically to be rude in. I lead him in circles, dropping skeleton armies on his head at each stop, while my soul counter climbs off the city's casualties. And in the middle of all this, Shadow Fist makes his move. Perfect stealth, perfect timing, the exact window between my immunities, which he clocked by observation like a professional. He detonates 50 years of his own lifespan into a triple damage assassination strike that lands square on my back. 4.7 billion true damage, split across 140,000 undead. 30-odd damage per skeleton. I feel it as a tap on the shoulder. I grab him by the throat before I even finish turning around. And I want to be honest, his talent is genuinely elite, the best pure assassin kit I've seen. He spent 50 years of his life on a man whose health has been mathematically unreachable since Chapter 1. I don't like the way you look at me, I tell him and give him the gaze. He doesn't leave a corpse. His carefully preserved 21 years of retirement savings evaporate with the rest of him. Yagami watches his master plan disappear into a light show and tries to leave quietly. I glance at him on the way past, not even a targeted kill, a drive-by glance. What follows becomes my favorite pettiness in the whole campaign. My max rank gaze now hits resurrections with an 80% all-stat curse for 12 hours, doubled by my class to effectively everything. Yagami respawns with every stat reduced to 1. The strongest player in Japan, the SSS Chosen One, is then killed, this is documented, by a level 10 rabbit. 208 damage. He spends the next day hiding in a field, too weak to risk standing near stairs. Iga finally corners me as my soul points hit the cap, so I open the death scripture in his face, rude but efficient, and the book teaches me Bone Cage on the spot, which I upgrade into Netherbone Imprisonment, a prison with a shield equal to my sacrificed army's health, breakable only from inside. I feed it 1,000 skeletons and lock a 200 billion HP wall around the most dangerous man in the country. Then, while he rages inside my snow globe, I go shopping. Kongu's stores are all looted out and abandoned. I take exactly one thing from that city. In the end, everything my auto-loot radius can carry, and my third advancement quest, because here's the thing. My field death trial for Tier 3 finally drops, and it's not a freebie this time. Kill 10,000 beings. Personally. My own hand, not my armies. 3 days. The city's resurrection hall repopulates on schedule. Half an hour after the massacre. Thousands of players blink back to life in one packed plaza, look around at my waiting army, and hold their breath. I raise my hand. My skeletons lower their weapons. You can feel 10,000 people exhale, and a few of them in the back already whispering about what they'll do to me when they're stronger. Then 3 of my skeleton kings each throw a corpse into the crowd, and I detonate all 3. The math of corpse destruction with my spell power in a plaza at maximum density is not combat, it's actuarial. The advancement quest completes in 1 frame. My kill count title skips 2 full ranks, 10,000, 100,000, and lands on Berserker, with a legendary badge attached and a region-wide announcement that finally makes the rest of the world stop joking. The 2 Yinren elders who arrive that exact moment, the real ones, the capital's answer, get to watch the crowd they came to save turn into a mushroom cloud, throw everything they have at my afterimage, and hit the 7 seconds of immunity. I leave through a triple-chained blink as my luck ring procs, cooldown resets back to back, and the last thing they hear is me promising to repay their hospitality double. They hover over the crater for a long moment. One of them says, quietly, "How do we report this?" Level 60, Tier 3. And a brand new mythic badge that upgrades into the Butcher's Mark, crit chance over 100%, damage multipliers stacked on multipliers, a flavor line promising greater power to whoever collects all 9 marks of its set, and a sealed domain skill that hums on my chest like a reactor. 9 of these exist somewhere in the world. I own 1 and already resent the other 8. Naturally, I press the domain button immediately. The domain opens for 1 second. 1. And my soul empties like a bathtub with the bottom missing. I barely manage to blink away, throw up a tent on Blizzard's back, crawl inside, and pass out. And I want to stress that I have not slept since Earth. My first sleep in this world lasts 7 days. I open the domain for 1 second and nap for a week. Whoever designed mythic equipment is laughing at me from a higher plane, and they've earned it. The world uses my week productively. Betting rings spring up in every empire. How many days until Wang Feng hits the next tier? And when I fail to appear, tens of thousands of gamblers lose their shirts on under 3 days. The Sakura bookmakers, in the funniest twist of the whole arc, become the only people in Japan actively praying for my health. The SSS geniuses grind to level 29 and hit the advancement wall as a group. One Blade's silver mist job changes into a unique hidden class, Sword Immortal, and, credit where due, says the only gracious thing any rival has said all game. Good that there's someone ahead, otherwise it'd be boring. Caleb, meanwhile, gets distracted by one of my announcements mid-boss fight and dies in a volcano, then resurrects out of his own corpse in a burst of flame, which nobody on the leaderboard seems to notice. File that one away too. I wake up on day 7, check the board, find my lead intact, and get the tier 3 payout. Lord's power fusion deepens, 20 new skill slots, and the class skill upgrade that closes my last real weakness. Death Contract becomes the Eternal Death Contract. 4th clause. The connection between me and my creatures can no longer be severed by anything below the power of natural law. Koga Ren's entire counter kit just became a historical artifact. I'd send him a condolence card, but I'm about to send something better. Day 8 of my Sakura vacation opens with a 2-for-1 sale flying directly at my face. Blizzard spots it first, the 5-headed vulture, my old chase partner, my accidental city destroyer, screaming across the sky toward us, not hunting, fleeing. Because behind it, katana out and murder in his eyes, comes Tanaka, the lord of the city my vulture flattened, who has apparently spent his entire week chasing the bird across the country like the world's angriest falconer. He sees me on Blizzard's back, and I watch a man's priorities realign in real time. The bird destroyed his city, but I made the bird. What do we do, Master? Blizzard asks as a slash of sword light the size of a boulevard splits the valley below us. What do you mean, what do we do? Kill them both. The fight opens with my favorite new party trick. I gaze them both in one sweep. The vulture loses 108 billion max HP. Tanaka loses 21 billion. Both spend 4 full seconds screaming at hallucinations. Tier 3 lengthened the fear, and neither of these two is Koga Ren. Blizzard, whose aura stack stats now quietly exceed the suppressed vultures, grabs one in each claw and dunks him into the ground like he's been waiting his whole contract for this. The vulture, who once made him run, gets held down and personally restyled. Payback, Dragon Edition. Then the two of them do something almost smart. They team up. Tanaka offers the bird amnesty for Zichuan, mid-battle, and 5 heads scream agreement. And for 1 second, I'm facing an actual alliance of legendary grade monsters. So I detonate my staff's built-in cataclysm between them, and its rider effect wipes their skill lists for 5 seconds. There is something uniquely cruel about watching an 8-tier sword saint reach for a technique that is simply not there. Like a man patting all his pockets for keys while the elevator doors close. Tanaka goes into the bone cage. I feed it 1,200 skeletons, and the shield reads 260 billion. He breaks out once. Takes him 2 minutes. I look at him and rebuild it. The look on his face at that moment isn't rage anymore. It's something closer to filing a complaint with reality. When my archers finally punch his ticket, he leaves me a prophecy. The secret society will never let you keep rising. 1,000 soul points and a corpse. A corpse. A legendary grade corpse. Right next to a legendary grade vulture at low health. I've been sitting on this experiment since I upgraded corpse destruction to work on any body. I light Tanaka's remains like a fuse. The blast that follows deletes the 5-headed vulture from full fight condition to 0 in 1 frame. 72 billion damage. Crit. Doubled. And my level counter does something levels should not do. 60 to 89. One boss. 29 levels. The vulture that chased me on day 1, evolved by my own hand, has now died to fund my entire 3rd tier. And if this game had an Employee of the Month program, that bird earned a plaque. The blast also redecorates. Where the fight happened, there is now a crater with its own weather. And because the universe loves symmetry, guess who teleports in to investigate the mushroom cloud? Both Yin-Ren elders and Koga-Ren. The trio that chased me out of Kongu, standing in my crater, reading the death energy like tea leaves. I should leave. My whole doctrine says leave. But I'm looking at 3 of the strongest men in Japan standing in a tight little group next to the enormous unexploded corpse of a legendary vulture, and the doctrine loses the vote. I blink in, wipe their skills with the staff, gaze all 3, and light the bird. The vulture's carcass is 100 times the mass of Tanaka's. The explosion isn't a number, it's a geography event. Nearly 200 billion damage at the center, a kilometer of terrain flattened and sunk, the crater in a crater now visible from the next prefecture. Koga-Ren, the man with a counter for everything, stacks every emergency shield scroll he owns in the last half second. They pop like soap bubbles. The strongest young ninja of the Yin-Ren secret society dies inside my quest reward, and his loot auto-vacuums into my bag before the dust settles. The 2 elders survive by feeding a treasured artifact shield to the blast and fleeing with blood on their chins. And somewhere in the capital, a report gets filed that I would pay real money to read. The loot wave from this one afternoon rebuilds my entire wardrobe. Mythic wings that let me fly without blizzard. The equipment leaderboard now shows 10 slots, all mine, 4 of them mythic. And when Caleb finally lands his first epic staff and rushes to see his name on the board, he's knocked off it between the announcement and his screen refreshing. His scream of Wang Feng deserves to die echoes over an active volcano. And honestly, from his side of the story, fair. The week's last big swing is pure appetite. A dark gold treasure chest under a frozen waterfall. I calamity it 2 full tiers. 10,000 years of my now plentiful lifespan into a mythic chest, then crack it with upgraded space crystals. Inside, a space disk that upgrades into the wheel of time and space. Saint Extinction grade. The continent ceiling. Teleport marks I can plant with a glance and return to from anywhere. A space lock that seals 26 kilometers for hours. A portal with a 2,600 kilometer range that, I test this personally, heart hammering, at the border mountains, steps through a national border like it's a beaded curtain. No alarm, no announcement. The wall between nations, the one thing on this continent even I couldn't cheat, and my new toy walks through it in slippers. There's fine print, of course. The wheel is visibly incomplete, a yin-yang missing both its eyes, and the description names its maker, the Lord of Time and Space, another dominator. And half its functions read, incompatible with your path of law, which is the game's way of saying this belongs to someone, and you are not him. My border test, incidentally, produces the funniest 15 minutes in Sakura history, entirely by accident. The moment I step through to the home side, their national system announces the invader has voluntarily departed, and an entire country holds a street party in the chat. He's gone. He actually left. I can finally go outside. Players pour out of the cities to grind for the first time in days. I check my mail at home, poke around my estate, upgrade some auras, call it half an hour, and step back through. New announcement. The invader has re-entered the kingdom. The chat's 5 stages of grief compress into one message, reposted 1,000 times. Has Wang Feng turned our country into a brothel, coming and going as he pleases? Their own city lord's line, now national folklore. Language finds a way. The someone has a friend, because the moment I use the wheel, Shenmue, a country away, stands up mid-meditation, mutters, that's his power, and burns a fortune in ancient coins triangulating it. In the Dragon Hall's headquarters, the hall's own master calls him senior and gets waved off. My appraisal buddy tears back across the border, shakes down the Sakura capital again just to check. The entire ninja leadership assumes it's a second robbery and nearly holds a group funeral, then finally calls me, audibly grinding his teeth. Where did you get the wheel of time and space? The meeting that follows is the strangest tea I've ever attended. He confirms the wheel is one of exactly 2 border-crossing treasures in the world, the other being his own token. He listens to my story with an expression I can't read. Then he pours me one drop of wine from his gourd, and the item description nearly stops my heart. Brewed by a literal god of wine, permanent stats, permanent resistances, 1,000 years of life per drop. I knock it back like a man at a wedding, get blackout drunk off a single molecule, and apparently call him Old Lao to his face and demand a refill. He sobers me up with a sword chime and informs me, wounded, that he is not old and that if he ever buys me a drink again, he'll be a dog. Then he does 3 things in 90 seconds that I'll be chewing on for chapters. He steals Arthur's ring off my finger from across the table, through the theft-proof enchantment, purely to demonstrate he can. One glance and, so that's Arthur's work. I wondered why it felt familiar. He tells me that for a Lord of Death, sneaking into the Netherworld isn't smuggling, it's going home. And when I check the wine's effect list against my status screen afterward, the drink that removes all negative effects, including law-grade ones, has fixed everything except one line. Life, 1/1, cause, unknown. A god's wine can't touch it. Whatever locked my health at one drop is written in deeper ink than divinity. Shenmue looked at me like a man reading a familiar handwriting, said, "You'll understand later," and left claiming he'd already told me everything, having told me nothing. Oh, and about Arthur. The Wrist Crystals quest wanted 5 epic boss corpses fed to it, so I spent an afternoon running my ennoblement program on the local apex predators. The routine never varies. Blizzard finds a dark gold boss, pins it, I promote it to epic while it's held down, one flame lion gets frozen at 10% health first because I wanted to know if the upgrade heals them. It does, fully, which closes that loophole. And then we kill our own promotion for quintuple loot. Blizzard has one demand throughout, delivered while sitting on a legendary lion like a paperweight. Master, can I give this one a haircut? He then styles the King of Flames mane into a middle part before execution. My dragon is a 100-meter apex predator with the sense of humor of a 9-year-old, and I've never been prouder. Every boss in this pipeline drops 2,000 plus soul stones, thanks to my luck ring, and the stones go down a new funnel. Calamity them into life soul source crystals, the game's ginseng fruit, 10,000 years of life apiece, whose cataclysm trait significantly strengthens the soul. That soul strength stat is the fuel gauge my butcher's domain drained to 0. Every crystal I drink thickens the tank. I lose count somewhere past 100 crystals. My lifespan readout stops being a countdown and becomes a geological era, 21,000 years and change. The man who started with 12 months now measures his mortality in dynasties and spends it like arcade tokens. The Lat quest course was a legendary wolf that I upgraded specifically to be eaten, a silver moon demon wolf that made the honest mistake of feeling the upgrade energy hit and deciding it could take Blizzard now. "You really are a dog," said my dragon, with feeling, and dunked it. The crystal ball swallowed the corpse and hatched into a damaged ring holding a dragon's soul. The quest's final stage wanted me to scour the continent for its missing gem. I upgraded the ring instead. The repaired mythic version popped a ghost recording of Arthur himself, a tired man who greets me with, "We meet again," which is a bold assumption, spoils nothing, sighs, "I wonder how the master is doing," and dissolves. The quest line skips straight to its true ending, a mythic grade task to smuggle myself into the netherworld, the merged realm of all undead worlds, through a hidden gate Arthur left behind. Deadline, 2.5 months. Failure penalty, unknown, which in this game's dialect means, don't fail. The gate's location matches the coordinates my death scripture has been whispering about, the Holy Church Empire. Everything in my future points at the one country that will hate me most on sight, and my own class calls it the road home. But first, Guo Han catches me before I leave and adds one more job to the pile, with the Dragon Hall's seal on it. If I happen to be in the neighborhood anyway, break the Sakura Kingdom's border anchor in their capital, bring the wall down. The Empire will handle the rest. Reward, my pick of the Hall's mythic vault. Everyone wants the same city dead. The ninja's god beast enemy wants it. The Dragon Hall wants it. My quest log wants it. At some point, you stop calling it a plan and start calling it a consensus. Before the finale, a shopping montage, my version, where the shop loses. Housekeeping first. The trade empire needed a name, and I, a man who named a mythic dragon Blizzard, produced Myriad Realms after visible effort, and Gold Hoarder declared it visionary with the enthusiasm of an employee whose bonus depends on it. He also solves a small mystery. His level has barely moved despite our thousands of trades, because the game has flagged every transaction between us as invalid for experience purposes. His theory, our soul contract makes us one economic entity, and the system refuses to pay a man for shaking hands with himself. The most honest anti-fraud check in this game, and it only catches us. Gold Hoarder, in the flush of empire building, has developed the confidence of a man who has stopped being afraid of his boss and started decorating him. He hands me a pair of matched space rings for easier trading and physically recoils at my expression. "Boss, I'm a straight man, I swear. I even went to the Dream Pavilion last week. I did not ask, and I upgrade the rings without further comment. 10 times my backpack, plus a private pocket dimension. He also shakes his lucky money tree while wearing my borrowed luck ring and pulls a potion for a stat neither of us knew existed, comprehension. I calamity it into the god tier version and bank it next to the appraisal mirror. 2 loaded guns now, waiting for the same future chapter. Then he delivers my special order, every aura skill book his auction network could find. I fuse the elemental resistances into one, upgrade it. My whole army gains 40% resistance to everything. Rage aura, defense aura, stacked, and the crown jewel, a garbage C-rank vampiric aura, 1% lifesteal, the kind of skill books use as packing material. 3 ranks of calamity later, it's a 20% lifesteal aura for every melee unit I own, with overflow healing that redistributes to the wounded. Combine that with the unbreakable damage split, and you have an army that heals itself by hitting you, a perpetual motion machine whose fuel is the enemy's effort. The last soul stones go down my throat as upgraded soul source crystals. Each one boosts something Shenmue refused to explain called soul strength, which governs the step towards saint extinction, and which also happens to be the tank my butcher's domain drained. 10,000 years of lifespan per crystal, converted into a thicker soul. When I finally reopen that domain, I intend to stay awake afterward. Now, the snake. The 8-headed thing tracking my poison source is called Ryujin. Yes, that Ryujin, the kingdom's founding monster, tricked and shattered by the ninja order back in antiquity. Its power split into 96 fragments and fed to bosses across the country. It wants its poison back, so I hang the source on my belt like a dinner bell and let it come, except it doesn't chase me. It teleports in, sees Blizzard, and all 8 heads have a committee meeting in real time. Hand over the source. Shut up. That's a Dragon King. Baka, we've been baited. Retreat. Retreat. The strongest monster in Japanese history has the internal cohesion of a group project. It blinks home to its mountain. I mark it mid-blink and teleport into its lair 30 seconds later, standing on its poison head. The game, delighted by all this, offers me the kingdom's main questline in 2 flavors. Help the ninjas seal Ryujin, reward, your pick of the royal treasury. Or help Ryujin burn the capital, reward, also your pick of the royal treasury. Both rewards point at a vault that Shenmue has already emptied to the bare dirt. The main quest of an entire nation is now a phone scam. I'd complain, but as an invader, I only qualify for the villain route anyway, and the villain route is where I was going. The negotiation with an 8-headed god snake goes exactly how you'd expect from a former CEO. Open with dominance. My buffed skeleton king punches one head unconscious and drags another around by the tongue until it taps out. I heard you have a bad temper. Of all 8 heads, mine is the best tempered. Follow with the gift. I toss the source of deadly poison into the air and watch 8 apex predators track it like house cats. Close with the upgrade. 1 glance, 1 free ascension, and the broken epic grade snake reinflates to legendary, 300 billion HP and climbing. Then, as I step out through my portal, I flick the full tier at it over my shoulder. Behind me, a 10,000-meter mountain detonates as Ryujin surges back to peak mythic, and every scattered fragment of its power across the entire country rips itself out of its host bosses and flies home. Somewhere over a lake, an elder of the Yin-Ren secret society is holding 1 freshly harvested fragment. Their whole counterplan was to grab 1 piece of each power so the set could never complete, and they drafted poor Yagami as the harvester, promising him boss-killing glory. He's level 22 again, and dreaming of the leaderboard when the pearl tears itself out of the elder's grip and rockets over the horizon. Teacher, what's happening? You're asking me? Yagami's arc, summarized. Every time this man touches hope, it files a restraining order. The secret society, to their credit, had a plan for me before the snake changed the subject. Their president had issued anti-spatial scrolls from his personal vault and organized the elders into ambush cells, 3 per second-tier city, wait for Wang Feng's next siege, pin him, converge. This time, he doesn't leave alive. It's genuinely the correct counter to everything I've shown them. It also gets cancelled within the hour, because the president stands up mid-war council with the face of a man reading his own obituary. Ryujin is awake, Ryujin is restored, and the invader did it. New orders. Nobody leaves the capital. Every elder, every scroll, every trump card recalled to 1 city to stand together against the snake. Which is to say, they took the counter designed to trap me and concentrated it in the exact place I'm planning to seal shut. I couldn't have arranged it better with a seating chart. The system announces the new expansion to the entire kingdom with the enthusiasm of a tone-deaf event coordinator. Beast Tide Invasion. In 24 hours, an army of beasts, minimum level 120, attacks every city in the country, and Ryujin personally leads the assault on the capital. If the capital falls, every Sakura player loses 100 levels and half their stats, permanently. The player base, whose average level is 15, receives this news like a bag of cement. I finally learned the game, and they've released the endgame expansion. You want me to fight a level 120 beast? With what, my head? Is there a surrender option? There is not. One pragmatist announces he's off to find a quiet hole to hide in and wishes everyone luck on his way out. The country mobilizes anyway, because it has to. Every city lights its alarm towers. Craftsmen work through the night, bolting arrow towers onto walls that already have arrow towers, cost no longer a concept. The capital raises its true barrier, the full power one, the one they never run because it drinks a nation's mana, and it spiderwebs the sky over the royal city in lines of light. The expansion was designed for a player base years stronger, with point rewards meant to forge a generation of heroes. I speedran a nation's doomsday clock by skipping its fetch quests, and now 40 million people get the endgame with tutorial-level characters. My own quest updates with a gentle reminder that if Ryujin loses tomorrow, the ninjas will hunt me forever, so I should really try my best. My actual plan is more honest than that. I'll help whichever side is losing. I want both armies emptied of every hidden card they own, the snake's ancient tricks, the secret society's centuries of anti-Ryujin preparation, before I decide what the ending looks like. A glance from me swings 40% of anyone's stats. Tomorrow, the scale is mine to lean on. 24 hours to kill. The advancement wall sits at 89, and tomorrow will be the best experience farm in the country's history, so I need my next next tier tonight. Which brings me to Fallen Moon City. Fallen Moon City is the Sakura Kingdom's second city, their East Sea, their pride, 100,000 professional guards, multiple legendary grade commanders, and tonight, every defense pre-charged to maximum for tomorrow's Beasttide. Their lord watches my dragon crest the horizon and says, with the confidence of a man reading last month's intelligence, he wouldn't dare. This isn't Xiao Shan. He's right, it isn't. Xiao Shan got my B material. I don't knock on the barrier. I look through it, mark a point on a street inside, and teleport past the whole light show. The wheel doesn't care about city shields any more than national ones. One second the invader is outside the impenetrable dome, the next he's hovering over downtown on black wings, and the first thing the city hears from me is 19 death curtains opening at once. 340,000 undead don't besiege Fallen Moon City. They occur inside it, like weather. The 3 legendary commanders scramble up to fight, and I sweep the gaze across all 3 in one motion. 24 billion, 22 billion, 16 billion. 3 grown legends dropping out of the sky screaming at their childhood fears. The city guard piles onto my army and hits the new math. 40% resist to everything, 20% lifesteal, damage split across 1/3 of a million bodies. Report from the front line, verbatim. I finally damaged one and it healed to full with one sword swing. 100,000 elite soldiers discover simultaneously that their job description has changed from defend the city to feed the skeletons. Then I take out the wheel and seal space for 26 kilometers. The teleport hall, packed to the doors with players who chose evacuation over tomorrow's Beasttide, goes dark mid-queue. The stampede that follows is its own small war. Let me through, I'm a girl. Doesn't matter if you're a transvestite. And then the fires reach the hall and settle the line dispute permanently. I'm not sentimental about it. Every soul feeds the scripture, and the scripture's next page costs 160,000. The city lord finally lands his trump card, a mythic-grade binding scroll from the old royal treasury, the kind of heirloom you spend on a national emergency. Rainbow light pins me mid-air, severs skill connections, locks movement. He strolls over, savoring it, monologue at full temperature. Now you'll learn what cruelty means. And I let him have almost the whole speech before stepping out of the beam of light. My movement skill outranks his heirloom. Half my skills sit above his scroll's pay grade, and the ones that don't are wearing cataclysm traits, which the scroll's targeting apparently reads as, do not touch. A mythic scroll, the city's break glass option, and the sum total of its achievement is muting my auras for half a minute. Who gave you the confidence? I ask him, honestly curious. Then a 10-meter skeleton king hits him through a 3-story building. The barrier around the Lord's mansion cracks around the same time the death scripture fills, so I split my attention. Army on the mansion, book in my hand. 160,000 souls by the page that finally completes my class kit. My summon skill converts to Summon Disaster Army, SSS, and the description reads less like a skill and more like a biblical citation. 10 summoning gates at once. Every undead type in the catalog. Berserkers, shield bearers, crossbowmen, banshees, gargoyles, abominations. Every 100 of a kind births a triple stat king, automatically. And the clause that changes everything. Every one my army kills rises. 5 seconds after death, every corpse stands up as a scourge skeleton. Free, uncapped, outside my summoning space, and everyone they kill rises too. A chain letter written in bone. The mana cost would bankrupt a guild, so naturally my contract splits it across the army itself. And the army's collective mana regenerates faster than the skill drains it. I run the numbers twice, then stop, because the answer to how long can I keep summoning appears to be a shrug. The city guard experiences the new clause from the receiving end, and this is where Fallen Moon breaks. Not the barrier, not the commanders, the men. Captain Sato's body it stood up as 2 skeleton kings. You can fight an army. You cannot fight arithmetic that recruits your friends mid-battle. Guards start choosing to lie dead rather than fight next to what their squad became. The kill feed becomes a hiring pipeline. 2 of the 3 legendary commanders die to a 10 times crit I trigger with the luck ring active. Both instantly revive out of spite and duty, which under my gaze's resurrection curse means they come back with every stat reduced to 1, and the field promotes their corpses to skeleton kings a few seconds later. The third, the Lord himself, watches all of this, does the math on his own remaining years, and runs. Full burst, straight out of the city, toward the capital. And I let him go. I open a gap in my space lock personally, like a doorman, because here's the finale's architecture, and I want you to see all of it before it fires. Tomorrow, Ryujin and its Beasttide hit the royal capital, where the entire Yinren secret society is dug in with centuries of anti-snake preparations and every elder recalled to one place. They think their walls make it a fortress. My wheel turns any battlefield into a sealed jar. The one thing that could ruin it is the secret society learning tonight that my space lock swallows escape routes, so their newest eyewitness needs to arrive telling the story I let him see. The invader sacked Fallen Moon and the barrier failed. Nothing more. Let them mass. Let them commit. Kill one lord and I get a corpse. Herd every power in the kingdom into one jar with an angry god snake and a sky full of my army, and tomorrow I get a country. The announcement goes out planet-wide as Fallen Moon's palace barrier shatters behind me. First player in Blue Star to destroy a second-tier main city. In the world chat, my countrymen have stopped pretending to be shocked and started asking practical questions about whether I can be taxed. In the Sakura Kingdom, experience penalties stack past the point of parity. Their players are earning a seventh of what the rest of the planet earns, and their bookmakers, the only industry I've made rich, quietly open odds on the capital. Me? I'm sitting on a very nice looted sofa in the middle of a burning city square, watching my army finish its shift, one day of experience away from Tier 4 with a mythic quest, a Dragon Hall commission, and a God Snake's dinner invitation all pointing at the same sunrise. The Death Scripture's next page costs 320,000 souls. Tomorrow, 3 armies walk into one sealed jar, and only one of them knows the lid exists. I check the wheel's cooldown one more time. It'll be ready with hours to spare.